hard is not going to happen in your life, but it wouldn't be so much that it causes you to lose your peace. Because it's one thing to be in the middle of the storm and still have peace. That lets you know that you're in the will of God. But it's one thing to be in the middle of a storm and you're panicking, you're freaking out because you're not in the will of God. That's just how I feel about it.
I definitely agree. You'll recognize the attributes of God, and because God isn't the author of confusion. If you have a bunch of confusion, you're not in the will of God. Boom. So you just got to recognize where you are, and recognize the attributes of God, where it's peace, like she said, it's peace present, it's joy present. If all these things that God, that God is with you throughout, your journey, that the will of God. But if you out there struggling, you losing your hair, schizophrenic, any type of thing that is not of God, you'll know that you are in the will of God. To me, that's what I would have to say.
So, because we know that the enemy he can make things seem like it's God. So what happens when there is false peace and we're not able to discern it? How do we know that is peace of God versus the peace from the enemy?
Give me an example of that, of false peace.
So like she said, everything is going good, because the enemy can also present things like everything is going good. So I don't really have an example.
I think, like, if you're in a relationship that God knows that you're not supposed to be in it, but He's trying to get that to you so that you understand. If you're in that relationship, He's going to be wooing you. He's going to be wine and dining you and all this stuff, and it's a false sense of, you know what I'm saying?
False sense of peace.
Yes,
exactly. So that, on the way here, I was listening to Joshua Solomon.
Yeah,
I was listening to him, and he gave that example of in a relationship. He gave the example of, he went to this lady and said, "I want to date you," and all of a sudden the lady stopped having peace in her life. And so she still dated him, ended up marrying him, but that thing that wasn't allowing there to be peace. I mean, it can seem like it's good. Oh my God, this is a man of God.
right.
Oh my gosh, he's known globally. Oh my gosh. But is that the will? Then he gave an example and said, every woman that married into this family died. And because these things are not ever addressed, it keeps happening.
Wow.
So you're bringing somebody into a situation that they're not known. They're not knowing of the situation. So that's what I was just saying, like, God versus the enemy. Because the enemy will present something and make it seem like it's God.
Right.
Oh my God, this is going so good. This has got to be God.
Right.
But God, on the other hand, is saying, no. You always have that little feeling in the back of your head, that tingle in the back of your throat, like,
that is not right.
But I just got this promotion. God is saying, no, I want you not to get that promotion because I got something bigger over here for you. But God, I just got this big promotion. I got a $10,000 bonus, and then all hell started breaking loose.
What the scripture that just popped in my head is that when God blesses us and when God gives you something, He adds no sorrow to it.
Right.
So even if it seems like it's such a good thing or it's a peaceful thing or it's the man of God, but what are you experiencing in your home? What are you experiencing on your job? What is it that, is it all good or is it some type of sorrow? Are you taking something and you're losing something at the same time? Like you're giving something and you're losing something at the same time. I don't know. That's the scripture that just popped in my head for that.
I know us as women, because we are very emotional creatures, we will jump into a relationship and God has said, no, this ain't it. But because
Both hands up.
we want that, that's what we want. And we bend the will of God.
Oh, Jesus.
We bend the will of God.
Permissive will.
Yes.
Jesus.
And we get into this relationship, and then years later, everything falls apart, and we're like, God, why? He was like, I tried to tell you from the jump, but
From the jump.
you want to do what you want to do, so I let you say. I just said you got it.
And He always going to get His will done.
regardless.
He'll let us go through whatever it is that
20
we
years
want.
later.
His
Right.
will gonna come to
Jonah.
pass.
And that's another way of being in the belly of a whale, of the whale.
Preach,
Because
preach it.
we're not doing what God is telling us. Had we listened from the first time, and I know with me, stubborn, I'm used to having my way because I've had to do it myself my adult life. Since 14, I had to do it myself. I had to, get my own school supplies. I had to
My God.
get my own school clothes and all that stuff. So when God is telling me to do something, I'm like, no, I got it. I got it. I got it. I promise I got it first, but he's like, but I know the plans
Right.
that I have for you.
Ooh, that's a good one.
I knew you before you was formed in your mother's womb.
Yes.
That's what he says. But we're like, no. But I got it because I know, even though he knows our future, we still say, my will.
Right.
And that even goes for, I know this is reaching believers. We're telling them and encouraging them to really press forth into the will of God.
Right.
But even for the unbelievers, you can recognize that you're not in the will of God when all these circumstances are going on. And you have to really have a strong spirit of discernment
Yes.
when it comes to those type of things. Like when she was saying how the enemy would come as that figure of light. And, a lot of people say, oh, I had a light, an angel of light came into my room and it was just beautiful. That's what Satan was described as too. So you have to have that discernment and really pay attention to where the direction of your life is going. And if it's, hectic, whether it is up and down, just, I don't want to say pray, because I know you're coming into the faith, because I'm reaching the unbelievers as well, because we're bringing you into the faith with this live. But yeah, seek God, the God in heaven, and say, God, if this is your will for my life, make it plain for me.
I know a lot of people, like you were saying about, as women, we all want to be married. Like that's like a dream for us. Married and have a husband, a family, the whole nine. So sometimes we sweep over those red flags for the sake of, oh, I got my man. I got my man.
My man.
Oh, just so I can say that, so I can post this and I can do all this extraness. But that is the major way that the enemy keeps you out of the will of God for your life, is getting you tied up in a relationship, both hands up, that is not the will of God for your life. And then all of a sudden you all the way 20 years down the road outside of the will of God, haven't done nothing that God called you to do. And when God says enough is enough, I say, okay, you've been doing this long enough. He'll cause everything but an earthquake to come in your marriage or in your life to cause you to leave that thing alone, to get back on track with his will. And where he gonna pick you back up at? Right where you left off at. Right where you're supposed to be at.
Right where you're supposed to be.
When you was 12.
Right.
God was like, okay.
You're gonna start right back there. Okay, so you got messed up over here at such and such church. You got off track over here at such and such church. Let me go ahead and get you back on track at such and such church and put you where you're supposed to be.
Right.
That's just how I feel about all of it. Girl, we could talk about this forever.
He wants us to be what is that Bible verse? Abundantly. He wants to give us that abundant life. But what happens when we bucket?
It seems like it's good while you're bucking it. It seems like things are, like everybody's happy, everything is going well.
And you'll be exhausted too. I be feeling so tired when you try to do stuff in your own will, your own strength. I be like, okay, I can do it. And at the end of the day, you go home so tired, God's going to tell you, whisper in your ear, it's because you're doing it in your own strength and not my strength.
Oh, God.
And not my spirit and not my might.
Oh, God.
So when is it that we win? When is enough that we throw our hands up? When? When is enough and that we say, okay, God, your will, your way.
Right.
Tragically, there's some people that go into that reprobate mind. Tragically, there is some people that have a stiff neck and they won't yield. So there is two different routes. Everybody has their moment to where they're like, all right, God, I'm done getting beat. I'm done, God.
Right.
But there's tragedy, where it's just too late. God says He will turn you over.
That's
You
true.
don't want to follow my will. I will turn you over to your own mind, your own will,
Oh,
which is
God.
called reprobate mind. You can look up in the Bible scriptures for those who are never heard of it. It's called a reprobate mind. So,
That's true.
Yeah.
That's
But
true.
I pray that none of our followers or viewers ever get to that point that you just yield. Just
Yes.
yield. The yielding, it does not feel good. It doesn't feel good to allow God in. He has to strip you. It says in the Bible about the refiner's fire. He has the only way he can test if you're good and ready is by putting you in that fire. When you seen the blacksmiths back in the day, because I like to watch shows like that, they would get the hammer and they would bam, 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 put it in the fire, bring it back out. If it ain't good, they'll bam, bam, put it back in the fire, put it in the water. Is it good? No, it's not. It's not done until it's done. And don't think that this is a once in a lifetime thing. No,
You constantly.
this is a constant thing because we're always gonna pick up something along the way that is not God. Like I just over the last 2 years, I went through this stripping of. I was a people pleaser. Whatever somebody said about Victoria, that's what I took on.
Right.
Victoria this, I took it on. Oh, Victoria that, I took it. Oh, Victoria's sensitive. But is that God?
Right. What is
Is that God? And I'm like, Lord, how in the world did I end up picking this up?
Yeah.
He had to strip me from all of it, and baby, it did not feel good. I cried. I cried probably 10 rainbow full of tears. And just crying, stripping, and purging because it don't feel good. But baby, I can guarantee you at the end,
At the end of the
it is good.
yes.
It is good.
I'm sitting here soaking up everything. I don't even have much to say. I'm soaking up all.
It's just like such an unpopular opinion to yield to God, yield to His will.
Right.
With all of this new age stuff that they try to force you into, and it comes from